Yes, let's get into another big matchup from week 2. We've got the Ravens at Cincinnati. Um, so obviously Cincinnati coming off of a tough loss to the Browns, and the Ravens taking care of business against the Texans. Bengals are 3.5 favorites despite the week 1 results. Jack, who do you think is going to be, coming out victorious in this AFC North rivalry game?
Now, I think I have not checked, and what I maybe should have checked is this sort of, especially in this division, the inner team rivalries. That's one thing I missed last week. You were very right about is how the Browns have the Bengals number,
Yeah, so I
but
did
it's at
check on
two to
that.
nine.
I will say that the Bengals have won 4 or 5 of the last 6, but before that, the Ravens had won like 5 in a row. So that was kind of
Okay,
before Joe Burrow got there.
okay. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna call that neutral. I'm gonna call that neutral in terms of that team rivalry, sort of aspect. Well, in this game, I'm gonna take the Bengals. Okay, and I'm gonna take them for a couple of reasons. I like the Bengals here, and reason one is going to be the most generic sort of reasoning I can do. So I'm starting with it to get out of the way, and that's that sort of surely the Bengals will, surely the Bengals will bounce back. Of course, happened
Mm-hmm.
last season. Last season, Burrow played very poorly, threw like 4 or 5 picks against the Steelers. Surely, of course, the caveat is that was a much closer game than the game against the Browns. But still, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say surely they'll do better. This is still a team. It was in the AFC Championship game last year. That was in the Super Bowl the year before that. I don't think they're going to magically forget how to play football. Even if they made a team like that last Sunday. um, so that's aspect one. For me, that's the Bengals aspect. I think they're going to bounce back the more just having time to play, having the oh geez guys, we have to actually study, sort of moment, losing to the Browns like that. I think I have enough faith they'll be motivated enough by that. To talk about the Ravens though, because I think that's more interesting to talk about here. I think that they were playing the second worst team in the league last year. The team that would have been worst, of course, they used the number 2 and the number 3 pick because they traded up to make some big additions who played decently, at least. But this even against this Texans team, the Texans gained more yards than them. 268 to 265 yards. They gained, yeah, it was 25-9, Ravens winning. But, that's kind of surprising. For this Ravens team, the team we're going to expect with Lamar Jackson to have this crazy explosive offense, gained fewer yards. Gained fewer yards than the Houston Texans with a rookie quarterback. I don't even know who's on that offense. I'm struggling to think of it, but of my name is Damian Pierce. There you go, their running back. I can name him. Texans team without very much offensive talent. I would have wanted. I mean, it's tough because they won by so much, right? They won by so much, so it's not a matter of like, oh, I would have wanted them to win by more. They won by 14. But this is the sort of thing. If the Cowboys can score 40 points on the Texans, I mean, Cowboys can score 40 points on the Giants. I'd expect this Ravens team to score that much on a worse team, the Texans, and especially with a quarterback as explosive as Lamar against a team as bad as the Texans. Which maybe this is a testament the Texans aren't as bad. They're actually playing well. They gained. Look how many yards they gained. Look how many yards they held the Ravens to. But that's for me is concerning. How they weren't able to put up more of a performance against. Yes, they won by a bunch, but more of a performance against the Texans. That's it for me. To you, Jared.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Poor
go ahead and
transition.
I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with you on this one. Although I do think it's gonna be close, I'm gonna take the Ravens. Sort of a couple of different reasons here. First off, you look at how Cincinnati performed offensively against the Browns. I would argue that the Ravens are a better defense, right? Certainly a better secondary than the
I'd say
Browns.
that.
And with the Bengals offensively, you know, whether they can run or not, they don't commit to the run, right? So whether Joe
Sure.
Mixon's there, I understand that J.K. Dobbins is out, and that's going to hurt the Ravens' run game. But the Cincinnati won't even call runs, right? So we're supposed to take that, right? I don't know. I'm concerned about it, right? If Joe Burrow continues to just chuck balls up, maybe in the rain, maybe not, against a good secondary, you know, I think that picks are going to happen. I don't think that that's going to be effective for that offense. Here's the thing. I agree with you about the Ravens offense, right? Since the MVP season for Lamar in 2019, I've never really seen the same Lamar on the field when he's been on the field. He's been hurt the end of the last 2 seasons, right? Um, and so I also have my concerns about him throwing the ball and him even running the ball. I believe that he was the lead rusher in the last game, but it was only like 40 or 50 yards. So it's not like he's having those 100-yard performances like he was having in his MVP season, as well as passing the ball effectively. We didn't see that in week 1, and frankly, I can't remember the last incredible Lamar game that in the last 2 years, right? Part of this is injuries. So, I think this is going to be a slog of a game. It's going to be a classic AFC North game where you have both teams kind of being gritty. There's probably going to be some turnovers. The defense is going to be playing good, some 3-and-outs. So really comes down to, for me, coaching, right? I'm going to go ahead and take Harbaugh over Zach Taylor. I think that he's going to hopefully have his coaching staff and his players have a better game plan than whatever's going on in Cincinnati. It's hard to have faith in that coaching staff based off of especially even just week 1, right? And so I'm going to take Harbaugh on this one, but I understand. I think it's going to be close, right? So I would take it in like a 24-23 game or something like that. And they might not even score that much because I think that the weaknesses here are definitely the offenses. And it shouldn't be because both these guys got max contracts, like we were saying in the last segment. And yet it just seems like there's never enough, they can't seem to get it done, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say I think that's a pretty good analysis. I would also agree. I think it's going to be close. I think the coaching factor is a great point to bring up. That's something I wasn't thinking a lot about, that especially in a game I think is going to be close. The Ravens coaching, I would give a pretty big benefit to over at least. I mean, I know I think there's complaints. People have complaints about the Ravens offense coaching, but still overall, I would say Ravens coaching I like more than the Bengals coaching. And yeah, I mean, it is like that's why I was being not facetious, but I was being kind of tongue in cheek about it with the rate. Surely the Bengals will just do better this week, because I think they will. That's why I called them. But I also recognize this is almost like a leap of faith I'm taking. Like, oh well, this happened last season, so surely it will happen again this season. Like I recognize that aspect of it isn't fully rational. It is kind of like, oh, it happened last season.
Well, and good teams generally. I mean, I know you're saying season wide they start slow, but I mean it's still week 2. They could still be slow, but
yeah, that's true.
Good teams, they generally bounce back from bad games like that, right? That's sort of like a hallmark of a team saying, "Oh, we just got our asses kicked," right? Okay, let's go and let's go and get a win, right? Let's show them that that's not the team that we are.
Yeah.
That's why some people might be heavily taking the Giants this week. We'll see.
It's like it's like Bill Belichick used to say, "We're on to Cincinnati."
Right.
We moved on. We're on to Cincinnati.
Burn the tape. I will say, week 5 last week, Lamar Jackson was healthy, and when they played Cincinnati the first time, and the Ravens did win in a low scoring, kind of more defensive
I remember
game.
that. Yeah.
And then later in the season, they played in the last game of the regular season. Lamar wasn't playing. They were playing like third string guy. And then they
came close to winning in the playoffs, right?
The very next week,
playoffs, it was close.
Yeah. The very next week they played a close game in the playoffs. So I think that these teams are actually closer than you would expect, despite Cincinnati having a lot more success in the last couple of years. So